Okay, so the question of the day. Yechave daat, I think we're in book 5, yeah? Book 5 and the Siman 4. Here's the question. Now, this one comes courtesy of my daughter. My daughter asked me this question this week, and so I said last night, you know what? Let's use this for the halakha of the week. Hayim hoba lebarech boker berchot haTorah me'umad, or rasha'im lebarech berchot haTorah miyushav. In the morning, we say berchot hashachar, the morning blessings, and then we say modeh ani, and then all the berachot, and then we say berchot haTorah, al divrei Torah. Ashkenazim, I believe, they say this standing up in the shul, Helen. Ashkenazim stand up while they say it. So my daughter's in camp. And she comes home, she says, Dad, they told me I have to stand up when I say the morning blessings. Is this true or false? So Baruch Hashem, my kids are trained. They come home and they ask, yeah? And so here's the answer. In the Sefer Eshkol, it says, Hagaon b'tshuva katav, shechol berachot mebarech me'umad. He says you should make every blessing of the day standing up. But hold on one second. That's just the beginning. Every blessing of the day standing up. Which blessings are we talking about that should be standing up? Blessings on mitzvot that you don't get any personal physical benefit out of. Right? So if you get a physical benefit, you're eating something, the coffee, drinking something, you don't stand up. Because you sit down. If it's just a strict blessing for doing a mitzvah with no physical blessing, you stand up for this. Abba, berachot nehenin, kigon achilat matzah, v'sukkah, v'kiddush, v'hamotzi, u'bekat hamazon, en tzarich. Anything that has to do with physical, even if it's also a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to eat matzah on Pesach, but you're also eating it. And so you sit down. And the same thing for sukkah. L'shev b'sukkah, l'shev, to sit in the sukkah. Hold on. Hamotzi, u'bekat hamazon. We don't ever see anyone stand up when they say these blessings on matzah, on sukkah, and on bekat hamazon. Bekat hamazon, the opposite. You must sit down when you say bekat hamazon. You can't say bekat hamazon standing up. And we say, shesh mitzvot birchatan me'omad. There are 6 mitzvot, specifically 6, that you have to stand up when you say these blessings. Which ones? Well, we know the Omed. It all starts with Korban HaOmed. Because when the Sefirat HaOmed, when we count the Omed, it says, Me'ahel Hermesh Bakama Tahel Isbor Shib'ah Shavuot. You have to count the Omed between Pesach and Shavuot. We count every single day for 49 days. What does the Pasuk say? You should start counting from when the grains are standing up. Why does it have to say the grains are standing up? Me'ahel Hermesh Bakama, says the Gemara. Standing up means you should stand up. And so that's what the Pasuk teaches you. Just like the grains are standing up, so too when you count the Omer, you should be standing up. Okay? And it says, Usfartim lachem. You should count for yourselves the Omer. Lachem. You should count for yourselves the Omer. And so what do we learn from here? Usfartim lachem. Yalfina mineh she'al mitzvot tichtiv behu lachem. Must be just like Sefirat HaOmer, which we know must be standing because it says from when the stalks are standing up, and it says by that mitzvah, Usfartim lachem, you have to count for you. Must be any other mitzvah where it says the word lachem, for you, you also should stand up. Well, where else does it say this word lachem? What other mitzvot use the word lachem? Understand what he's saying? Any other mitzvah where it says the word lachem would have the same law as Omer. Can you think of any? Lulav and etrog, it says, Ukachtem lachem. Okay, what else? There's more. Uncle Jack, any in your mind? Levana, ha-chodesh hazeh lachem rosh chodashim. Rosh chodesh, it says lachem, for you. And so when you do kiddush levana, as the Ashkenazim call it, or as we levana, you got to be standing up. And actually at the end we say, we bless Birkat Levana standing up. Where else does it say lachem? Lachem lesisit. Sisit, it says lachem. When you put your talet on in the morning, you stand up or you put your talet on. What else? Yom Teruah yel lachem, the shofar, Rosh Hashanah. Yom Teruah, a day of blessing, it is for you, lachem. There's that word again. So it must be when you blow shofar, you have to stand up. What else? Lulav, we said. And the last one, Brit Milah. It also says lachem by Brit Milah, for you. And so whenever I have a Brit Milah, a bris, everyone's standing up for the Brit Milah. And so this is what the rule is. All starts from Korban HaOmer. Make sense? Okay. However, other mitzvot, you can sit down. Only these. Now, Rabbi David Abu Darham writes. We'll talk about that in 1 second. Abu Darham writes, Yesh mitzvot shemavarichim alehem me'omad lemitzvah min hamurhad. Aside for these 6 in this list, there are other mitzvot that it's preferable to stand up. But if you don't stand up, it's okay. V'im lo birech me'omad en lahush. For example, kegon halel, mikra megillah. Halel, we stand up when we say halel, even when we make a beracha. But if you didn't stand up, it's okay. It's still kosher. It doesn't say anywhere you have to stand up for halel. It's not even a mitzvah from the Torah, probably, to say halel. Where does it say halel? Right? Mikra Megillah is rabbinic. On Purim, it's a rabbinic law. So from the letter of the law, you don't have to stand up. The Hazan stands up when he reads it. But from the crowd, you can really sit down. Even though it's a custom in this shul to stand up for the beracha. Huh? Yeah, not everyone. In this shul, they stand up for the beracha. But you can sit down. From the letter of the law, we learned this in Megillah class way back when, a few months ago, by Purim, in the Thursday night class. In the letter of the law, you can sit down for the Megillah. And people these days even do that. This minhag of the shuls, they stand up and then they sit down for the rest. Some people say a rule says to be David Abu Darham. I always say this, right? Abu Darham, one of my favorite sefarim, I have it at home. It was the first printed book in the continent of Africa. The first book was the Sefer Abu Darham. And he says, as a rule, Kol mitzvah she'en ba'hana'ah mebarichim aleha me'omad. Like we said, anything that you have no benefit out of, just the mitzvah, stand up for it. Okay. It would seem from here that anything that you're not getting benefit should be standing up. And so too, when you bless in the morning, you gave us the Torah, you should stand up when you say this beracha. Why should you sit down? Are you eating the Torah? You're benefiting from the Torah? That's the question. Are you benefiting from it? Is it given for you to benefit, or is it given for you to just study it and know the laws? It might be enjoyable. So the question, yeah, it's our life, but is it meant to be enjoyed? And there's actually a big question in the Gemara. Misvot lav lehanot nitnu. Is the mitzvah given to you to benefit, or is the benefit just a side, intellectual enjoyment that you get out of the side? And so he says, from the surface, it would seem from this rule, you should stand up when you say this beracha, because the mitzvot lav lehanot nitnu. And where he said, I'm going to skip a little bit, simchat nefesh lehud, simchat na'at haguf lehud. You have intellectual, spiritual benefit, but that's not called physical benefit. And so it would be in the standing up rule. You only sit down when you have physical benefit. Learning Torah is intellectual benefit, it would seem. Ulam, however, the Pnei Yoshua writes, Shedafka mitzvah she'asiyato v'kiyuman me'omad. Only a mitzvah that you are supposed to fulfill, not only the blessing, the actual mitzvah action, standing up, that blessing you should stand up for. So lulav and etrog, we stand up the whole time we're doing it. Sisit, we stand up when we put it on, not just when we make the blessing. When we wrap a sisit, we stand up, the talit. Shofar, the hazan stands up. And also we stand up in the crowd. We have two types of shofar blasts. So therefore, those things, it should match the action of their doing. About mitzvah, if there's a mitzvah that the action of the mitzvah is sitting down, why should you stand up for it? Megillah is a sitting down mitzvah, as the Gemara says. You don't have to stand up for Megillah to say it, only the hazan. So therefore, the beracha should also be sitting down. The Abetz writes, he brings the question of the Magen Avraham. The Magen Avraham writes, when a person, a woman or a man, is making dough and she wants to separate the halab, the first piece of the dough, he makes the beracha sitting down. It's okay. You don't have to stand up for halab. And so the question is, and it says straight out in the Mishnah, it says in Mishnah, Haisha yoshevet v'kotzah halata. She can sit down and break the halal and make the beracha. And so the Abed says, mitzvot shena'asot v'yeshiva, if, like we said, a mitzvah that's a sitting down mitzvah, when you do the mitzvah, you're sitting down. It's not nice to stand up just for the blessing and then sit down for the action. Only a mitzvah that you should stand up while you do the mitzvah, kegon omer, sisit, shofar, milah, and chayotzev, anything like that. Even though if you didn't do it standing up, you're yotzeh. If you shook the lulav and it talk sitting down, it works. If you blew the shofar sitting down, it works. If you did brit milah sitting down, it works. You don't have to do it again. Still, you should say the beracha standing up because it's a standing up mitzvah. And he writes, so the question is, learning Torah, is that a standing action or a standing mitzvah or a sitting mitzvah? We also learned this in Thursday night class. Remember we said, Moshe Rabbeinu, he stood up when he heard Torah from Hashem on Har Sinai. And it used to be that they stood up. They learned Torah standing up. Remember the Gemara says? Who remembers this? Uncle Jack, remember this? The Gemara says the students would sit down when it was a hard piece so they can concentrate. But when they reviewed, they would stand up. And another opinion was it was a middle ground. It was bowing the whole time. Moshe Rabbeinu bowed the whole time. But halakha l'ma'aseh, the Gemara Megillah said, halakha l'ma'aseh is, especially these days, when we learn Torah, we sit down. Why? We can focus better when we're sitting down. And we want to focus. And so it says, like Rambam says, that you learn Torah these days, at least sitting down. So therefore, if it's a sitting down mitzvah, you should bless sitting down. So then, gam b'chata Torah, ena tzrichadat me'omad, v'chem asati meharama mipano. The Rama Mipano writes, b'chata Torah liyahid, she'en anu medaktikim ba lebarech me'omad, shan yahid etidira. He says, the reason why Torah, blessings on the Torah, they should really be standing up, says the Rama Mipano. The reason why we let you sit down is it's a daily mitzvah. All the other mitzvot are not. Sisit is also daily. But Torah is a mitzvah that you do every second of the day. Every spare second of the day that you have, you should really be learning Torah. You're a man. And so therefore, and it also says, B'shivtecha bebetecha, right? When you lay down in your house, when you sit down. And so Torah is whether you're sitting or you're standing or you're walking. It says in Shema straight out. And so therefore, we see Torah specifically is even a sitting down mitzvah, and so you can sit down when you do it. And this is why it's a good reason why we can sit down when we say the blessings on Torah, and also the Yotzei Or, the blessings on Shema, because Shema is also a sitting down mitzvah. Good. They bring it over here. They try to bring that as a proof. If you stand up for the blessings of the Torah, you should also stand up for the morning blessings. But Chacham pushes off the proof. The whole Torah ceremony is standing up. That's for the kabod of the tzibur and the kabod of the Torah. You know, if I'm reading a Torah on my own, I read the Torah on Shabbat. I stand up. I have to, because it's kabod for the whole tzibur that I'm reading for that I should stand up. But if I'm reading on my own, I can sit down. So it's not the Torah itself; it's the tzibur that's making me stand up. Make sense? Okay. Kafahim Palaji writes, "Bebarech kol bechot hashahar kishu yoshev al mechono bechavanat halev." That bedatka you should sit down, says the Kafahim. V'lo yelech ana be'ana mepina lepina shebarech. And don't walk around the house while you're blessing bechot hashahar, says the Kafahim. V'hu adin lebechot haTorah. So the same thing applies to the blessings of the Torah. Ubefrat ledevrei poskim shehi mitzvah min haTorah. Especially for those people who hold this is the mitzvah from the Torah. There's not that many berachot we say from the Torah, guys. Birkat Hamazon, if you're full, we know it's from the Torah. What else? Maybe Birkat HaTorah, it's mahloket. So especially according to them, you got to focus. So sit down so you can concentrate. I see Rabbi Ovadia Hadaya, who was, I think, Halabi. In the Sefer Yaskil Avdi, he writes, someone asked him this question. He answers first that you are allowed to sit down when you make the blessings. Katav, he writes, when it comes to the Torah blessings at the end, Rabbi Hadaya says you should stand up for the Birchot HaTorah at the end. Just like when you go to the Torah, you stand up. So too in the morning you should, says Rabbi Hadaya. But if you can't stand up, you can say you're sitting down. ועל פי הסוד יש לברך ברכת התורה מעומד. Rabbi Hedaya writes, Kabbalistically, there's a benefit to standing up while you say ברכות התורה. Says Acham Ovadia, I'm sorry. ראיתי בספר מעורר השנים, שכתב בפשיטות, צריך לברך ברכות התורה מעומד, ואין דבריו מאוחרים כלל. I don't agree. Comment says, I don't agree with this. וכן ראיתי הלום in the ספר באר משה, שפלפל בזה, והעלה במסקנתו שאין צריך לברך ברכת התורה מעומד. Comment says, I hear what you're saying. It might be beneficial to stand up when you say it, but I'm not going to make a psak that say you have to stand up when you say b'chut hashachad and b'chut Torah. And so therefore he ends and he says, v'chen ikan, b'chut hashachad and Torah. He bundles them all together. V'chen ikan le'halacha. This is the halacha. She'efshar lebarech b'chut Torah gam miyushav. You are allowed to say the blessings in the morning, including the Torah blessings, which are the most critical ones, sitting down. V'en tzorech dafka la'amod. You don't have to stand up. The summary is as follows: B'chut hashachad, v'chen b'chut Torah, en tzorech la'amod. You do not have to stand up for the morning blessings. Ela im ratza yachol lebarech k'shir yoshev. If you want to, you can. If you want to, you can stand up. If you want to be hoshesh to Rabbi Hedaya, and he says there's a Kabbalistic reason. If you want to, you could. If you want to sit down, you can sit down as well. And so the answer to my daughter is what? No. The answer to my daughter is, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. You're in an Ashkenaz camp. Really, the halacha is you can sit down, but you're in an Ashkenaz camp, and if they all stand up, you stand up. And the same answer applies to my son, who asked me the same question about his yeshiva. Now he's in high school, Ashkenaz high school. They're all standing up by Kaddish. I said, buddy, stand up for Kaddish. On Shabbat, when you come to shul, you can sit down with the rest of us. And so halacha is you can sit down if you want to, as long as you're not in Ashkenaz shul. Okay.